we go then. Okay. Introducing my next guest or guests on my radio show and podcasts and channels this goes out on, taking time out their schedule. I have a recording artist who's been with me before, John Fishell. Welcome. And we have
Hello.
yes, welcome to you. And we have a world instrumentalist, Deepak Ram, joining me right here, right now. Glad to have you company on today's program, lads.
Hello. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Great. So, first question, I'm going to open it all up for you. Firstly, can you just tell me and listeners a little bit about yourself? Where you're currently based in the world, your musical background, and how you and how your musical world kind of aligned.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in South Africa, and as a teenager, I began studying Indian classical music, um, and eventually I landed up with a teaching job at a music department at a university where I met John. That was in 1993. So we've known each other for about 32 years. Uh, and we've been really good friends since then, and we joke around, mess around, and do all kinds of silly stuff. But always discussing different kinds of music. And 3 years ago, John had a gig in DC. No, maybe, no, that was 2 years ago, maybe. And he asked me to join him, and that's how the collaboration started, which was quite an easy, collaboration, despite being from very, very different worlds, musically speaking.
Yeah, and just so everybody know, I'm John Fishell. I'm just a straight up rock guy. Studied music in university. I'm also engineer, producer type. I've done some of that too. Also a university professor where I met Deepak and yeah, it's been a great time we've been having together, especially these last few shows we've done have just been really magnificent. Honestly, I get very nervous about them, but I'm calmed by Deepak's presence.
That's lovely. It's good that your chemistry kind of glows as well. You can see that.
Oh, good.
Oh,
I
thank
hope
you.
you don't have the glow filter on our heads,
It's the first word that comes to mind, anyway. And who have been each of your kind of musical inspirations you've looked up to, whether it's an artist or, a poet or a writer? Who have they been?
But there are so many for me, particularly in my world was obviously my teacher. I'm going to say his name is a long name, Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasya. But your audiences might know Ravi Shankar, or the great Indian sitarist who brought Indian music to the West in the 50s. And so he's been, one of my great inspirations. As well as people like John Coltrane and Miles Davis. There's a few that I can mention.
For me, it's very simple. I started listening to the Beatles, and then Zeppelin, then Queen, AC/DC, and then after that, a whole bunch of others. And as you can see, we come from very different backgrounds, and somehow we're still working.
And with like the Beatles, their album Revolver often incorporated music from the Eastern world.
Yeah, and honestly, before I met Deepak, that was all the Indian music I ever received was from, Revolver and some of those other albums after that where they were using tambura and sitar and some of those percussion ensembles. And then, I started really listening to Beach Boys and Led Zeppelin and their use of Eastern influences, and I thought I knew everything about Eastern music from those two. Turns out I wasn't even touching the surface, but that I think is the nature of what we're doing.
Great to hear. One of the reasons I invited you on my program was because you have a brand new track I wanted to talk to you both about titled Space Time. Can you just tell me what's the message behind this new record?
Well, I mean, Space Time is basically a melody that I wrote many years ago, while trying to get my head around quantum physics, hence the title Space Time. And it kind of also relates, it's a melody that has multiple time signatures, which is not common in Western music, really. And so, when John heard it, he kind of wrote lyrics based on that melody, but um, used the melody as a base and created these lyrics between my fixed melodies. And John can, speak more about that.
Yeah, I Deepak's melody was so distinct and so just, a piece of art on its own. There was no way I was going to mess with that. So in order to try to fit in, I thought, okay, well, let's use lyrics and a song in between his melodies as a departure, and then we can go back. So that's where the structure of the song came from. Lyrically, I had no idea you were thinking about quantum physics, and I kind of took it, in a relationship sense. You know what? Basically saying, okay, we're going to get to where we need to go, but I'm going to need space from you and time on my own in order to get us in a relationship to where we want to be. So that's kind of where I was coming from on space and time. So sorry
No, no,
about
no.
that.
No, I mean, I wasn't delving into it so deeply, but, that's how it really came about.
And did you have many happy like memories recording the space-time project? Using particular instruments. You mentioned the sitar and recording equipment to get that particular sound or tone for the record.
Um, so I guess the first side of the record, so Space Time, Valentine, Rain Song, those three pieces were done, you know, all performers in a studio at the same time. We had a producer for that was managing our time and managing our clock. And I had a great time doing that. There was a lot of pressure because of the other musicians in the room for me. And we had Jamie Haddad, who's Paul Simon's percussionist, and we had Karine Chapdelaine, who was just a fantastic bass player. And, I think I know I practiced really hard and really felt like I had to step up and nail my performance without a lot of overdubs and correcting and things. And so that felt really great to me. That part. The other side of the album was very meticulous and took a really long time, and I really did get in there and fix every little thing, at least on my parts. I mean, Deepak came in and just really knocked his parts out of the park as he usually does. But it's really those two different sides represent our two different ways of working too.
Sure thing. So that was a recording process. Another important factor when releasing music is artwork. And now for the cover for Space Time, where did the concept come about where you're both sitting at a North Washington Park Avenue bus stop?
Well, you're the first person to notice
Right.
that. I We needed some photos. Like I now live in Indianapolis and Deepak is in Washington D.C. I mean, it's an hour plane ride, but it's still, a 12-hour drive between the two. And we just needed some photos, and we were running around this suburb of DC called Falls Church with our puffy coats on, looking like gangsters from a gangster movie. And we sat in that bus station, and I think we were having an argument in the like a or not an argument, but a disagreement or something in the bus station. And I think the photos kind of captured that a little bit. And it was nice, it was
Mhm.
nice.
You never know. People who listen to the album may make a homage, is that the right word, to that bus
Homage,
stop?
yeah,
Right.
homage, yeah. Yeah, if you're listening to the album, please visit Falls Church, Virginia, and you too can sit in the bus stop where the album was shot. Album cover was
Right.
shot, yeah.
And you mentioned the new album. And how many numbers are on this album?
Six, I think.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
six.
six.
which is a little light on for an album, but I think we got six long songs, so you're getting good value, I think,
Right.
for each song. And honestly, our songs are pretty complicated, so sometimes you're getting a couple of songs inside of a song, honestly.
Yeah, normally length in music is relative to, you can have an album with 70 minutes, but and says different stories. So I don't think when people listen realize whether the album is long or short is once you get involved in each track. So in each track tells a story, about what we do
Yeah.
together.
And would you agree it's EP epic, each song?
Yeah, I think that describes a lot of the songs, the epic.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah, especially I think is like one of that
yeah,
called epic.
yeah,
And I just wanted to touch on some of the songs. Mentioning lengths of songs, one of the tracks, 8 minutes in length, as you say, it does give people their money's worth. I believe it was Love the Rain. I listened to it and it's quite a relaxing, therapeutic song, perfect for like a Sunday evening when, you're all cozy at home and you may hear the raindrops hitting the window pane.
yeah. That's a Led Zeppelin cover, the Rain song, and I don't know, is one of those Zeppelin songs that was a departure for them, and so peaceful. And I was learning to play that song at the time, and I just thought, oh man, can you imagine if Deepak could play this string melody on his flute? So I wrote it in Western notation for Deepak, and poor Deepak had to translate from that to his flute. But I think you just listened to it over and over again, and then got the vibe of it really well.
Well, I mean, I did kind of transcribe it, but yeah, going to bed every night, listen to the same song, and kind of try to ingest the not only the melody but the vibe of the song.
Yeah, as you described, you nailed the vibe. It's Sunday. It's maybe you can hear the rain on the tin roof. And the dog is sitting there, and the fire's going, and you got the Sunday scaries a little bit, which means you're anxious about the upcoming week, and you're doing everything you can do to get those last moments of relaxation. And I think that's a pretty good description of the vibe.
And with Love in the Rain, would you agree you translated the song, however, you reinterpreted it in your own styles?
Yeah, I cannot sing like Robert Plant. I just my voice isn't. I mean, obviously, I'm a different person, and everybody has a different voice, and his his voice is very unique, and as is mine. And yeah, I think if you don't put your own stamp on it, I think you're in trouble. You know,
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I mean, I dare you to find a singer that sounds like me, and I dare you to find flute players that sound like him, and I dare you to find a collaboration that's similar to ours, I guess. I guess maybe that's a overconfident statement, but I haven't found it yet.
Just wanted to touch on a few other tracks as well. Valentine, would you say that's a romantic number by chance?
well, it comes with a wonderful story behind it, and John will, tell you about that.
Oh, so yeah, I was in a relationship and totally forgot about Valentine's Day. So I wrote the song as an apology, please forgive me and let's go back to the way it was. And totally didn't work. And that was the end of that relationship. But I got that strong song out of it, and it kind of reminds me of summertime a little bit, but in a sadder way. And then when Deepak plays over that, I think you can hear sort of the regretful heartache that was intended in the song, and a good job on that, Deepak.
Oh, thank you.
And A Night in Lenasia, that sounds exotic. What's the tale behind this track? And would you say it's a standout track as well?
When Night in Indonesia is the township or town that I grew up in South Africa during the apartheid era, where different races in South Africa were put in different weren't allowed to live in we had to be separated by different areas geographically. So I mean, I wrote the tune about dedicated to the town some years back, many years back, and then when John listened to it, and I described my experiences growing up in Lenasia, and he captured the essence of that in the lyrics. So
Yeah, that whole thing that happened there is really fascinating to me in terms of, how such just stupidity could be legislated, like written down into laws, and everybody was okay living their lives that way. It's mind-boggling to me the effort that went into separating people based on race, and so I'm horrified by the whole thing. I lived there at the tail end of it into the new government, but I always listen very carefully to Deepak telling his stories, and when Deepak speaks about growing up, he had a wonderful childhood in this place. He speaks so fondly of that area and his friends and his childhood, and it's on this weird backdrop, and I'm hopeful that the song catches that, duality of that time. And yeah, I think it is a standout track.
Hmm. As you mentioned the word essence, and that's a good key word to describe, music, the kind of the portrayal of a song you're trying to capture the listener with.
Yeah, and I think A Night in Lenasia, kind of the title even invokes A Night in Tunisia,
mhm.
the famous jazz tune,
Yes,
which was exotic at the time,
right,
you
right.
know, and I think that's part of the appeal.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
wanted
growing up, sorry.
so I wanted to ask as well. So you mentioned a couple of songs from the album, but what's it called?
The album is called what Notorious Partners in Crime, and he came up with this title, which is also part of the lyric of Space Time.
Yeah, it really it goes to, sort of an American phrase where you call two, like two kids who are always together, oh, they're joined at the hip, or they're two peas in a pod. And, a little more naughty would be, they're notorious partners in crime. They're just running around the neighborhood getting into trouble. And I think it really comes from the Bonnie and Clyde thing where they drove around and got into big trouble. And, I think that describes us pretty well. We get together. We never really practice that much. We're
Right.
always just
Goofing
goofing
around.
off. Yeah.
And one part of like chemistry, working as a team, to some, would you say having travel, going around the world, do you feel that really gives you your creative kind of inspiration?
Hmm. I feel like whenever I play with someone else, I want to play with people that are much more talented than I am, that I feel are going to protect me, and I feel that, you know, all right, we're in a gang and we can beat anybody up. And they're just so the I don't know, it's like a confidence I need to have. And I think Deepak and I together, like, it, I feel like when we go to play, it's us against the world, and please come and join us. And people do, it's a great feeling no matter where we are, no matter how small or talkative or great. It doesn't matter the audience. When we go to play, I just feel like, all right, Deepak's got my back, I got his, and bring it on. And I sort of feel like that sort of fight energy a little bit, and that's nice for me.
And I understand, John, you've been on a tour in London, the last month or so. How did that go for you?
Well, no, Deepak and I have been on a
Yeah,
tour. So
together, yes.
yeah, and Deepak can.
Yeah, we had some, great experiences because, people were exposed for the first time with this, it's a unique collaboration, you know. And so, yeah, the audience was very, very receptive. We played a bunch of gigs in London and outside London, and diverse audience, and audiences from both worlds, from his world and my world, now seeing these two worlds collide, uh, and that was an interesting experience to see people's reaction to it,
Yeah, the one guy from Lenasia, right? That
yeah, yeah.
he was from there. He hugged me after the gig and was in tears after hearing that Night in Lenasia song. Like it really got to him,
Yeah.
that song. And I mean, I'm so proud of that moment.
Great. So just running out of time slightly, but where's best for people to follow you on social media?
Well, my name, deepakram.com, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
And I'm johnfishell.com, just my name.com. Also Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And please, talk to us. Send us messages. We want to hear what people have to say, and I really appreciate the your involvement in our music and helping us getting the word out there. Like we can't do it without you.
Mm.
So thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
That's always good to hear. And what's the feedback like? What do you like about that aspect, of interacting with people who listen to your music?
I mean, it's very positive. I always feel as an artist, our duty is to remind people of who they truly are beyond their physical surroundings, their personality or race. When you change somebody's chemistry as an artist in a good way, that's a job, well done, I think, for me. And I think we've done that,
Yeah, I think we have. I can't say it any better than Deepak. So I just want to have a good show. I just want to play well and have people adore what we're doing.
Very good. Thanks for answering my questions today, and wish you a long success with the album. I reckon it's an album people will, in future listen again and go back to.
Uh,
Well, yeah, I hope so. And thank you very much for your time and, all the, good wishes to all your listeners. And
Great.
cheers.
yeah, yeah.
So, John Fishell, good to chat with you again, and nice meeting Deepak. You're the first time on the show, so yeah, very good to have you both in the company on today's podcasts.
Thank you.
And have a good rest of your
Take care.
week.